All right, y'all, what's going on? This your boy Zach Zama with the War and Peace 210 podcast, and I'm out here tonight with the wife.
Hi, I'm Zoe.
I got my cousin up there. What's going on, cousin?
Hey.
I got the homie Brandon with me. I got my not my youngest, but the young sister. And then my other sister.
Hey.
In these streets, out here. Okay, so today is gonna be a special episode. It's really to this is really kind of going towards the women. We really want the girls, the women, to be able to speak to us. We want to give them this space so they can be able to speak freely and get their feelings out and let us know what's going on. So in this last probably a month, we run into a lot of different situations. Tonight we're going to be talking about the ones that the women are dealing with. I personally had a friend of mine that I went to school with that passed earlier this year, and we just found out a couple of days ago she was found just bad, in just bad way. So that's kind of what made this whole thing start, and just the whole situation. Just Vanessa can never say her name, but just with her. Just all these different situations. So my first question is for the women first is what goes through your mind when you see this? Like when you see
what
come up, like what is something that you think about first thing?
When it comes to like women being found, you know, the issues with, you know, the assault and everything with being poisoned. It's hard to be able to fully describe that. You always kind of wonder. The biggest thing is, you know, is what happened.
Right.
You know, it's always you know, is this an isolated incident? You know, was this a one-on-one occurrence where someone was, you know, seeking revenge? Are we possibly dealing with a situation where this will be repeated? There's someone now searching, stalking, or looking with the intent to continue for this to happen. And so it's always just a reflection moment of what's really going on. You know, what is caused a situation like this to come about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a mom in there. Hey, Mom. All right, Ashley.
For me, I just think that it's just more so like a sad reality. Like that's just life at this point. Just like all the injustices that are going on with like Black men, it's sad reality. Cause yeah, those made headlines, but that shit happen every day.
Yeah. Monique, where you at?
Yeah, that's pretty much what I was gonna say too. When I hear stuff like that at this point, it's just kind of like, dang, another one. Like, because it happens so often. I don't want to say I'm desensitized to it, but it's not a shocker. It's not breaking news. I mean, I've been hearing stuff about this since I was like 12, 13, hearing about little girls being found. So it's something that I feel like I've grown up knowing and understanding is a possibility, just based off of the fact of me being, you know, a woman or a young girl.
Yeah.
Two different, very different incidents. You know, one has to do with police brutality, and the other one with Vanessa, and she was in the army. And it was French, and it was with all three of these women. And you kind of, I agree with Monique, like you kind of become he and everything, you know, he cooks his eyes, and everything that he's gone through, and just I sympathize for Chris and for the culture. It's just a lot different from what I'm used to. I'm not, you know, coming in as relationship. I was naive with a lot of things, and now being around being around Ashley,
Sorry.
more open and I see a lot more things than previously.
I always, for me, go to a different place because immediately first thing I think about is my sisters,
Ash, what's your background?
wife, family.
They loud.
I be thinking about y'all first because the only reason they come up first is because if that can happen to them, I know don't nobody care about y'all like I do. You know what I'm saying? So I know that it's a possibility. But just like y'all, I grew up with it too. You know what I'm saying? Part of the reason why I didn't join the military was because of that. You know what I'm saying? I told a story to Zoe once. When I was a kid in Japan, I went and got my hair cut. And I was getting my hair cut, and there was a grown man in there talking about some girl. He met this girl, some girl. And we was all in the barbershop, so, we were just like, okay, yeah, what is this? And he had pictures, because this is when flip phones happened. And when I tell you he had a picture of a girl that was in my street law class, I was like, really? Wow, you proud of that? Like, you out here talking about it like it's something to do. You know what I'm saying? And then, like, I saw that all the time. You know what I'm saying? The girls everybody sneak out at night, everybody being fast at the club, and then get to the club, and it's too much. Now it's too strong. Everybody's doing too much. You know what I'm saying? Or just being around. Like I tell Zoe all the time, just at work, I'm at work, and I got old men that come up to me and be like, say, man, you saw that? And they just talking about women in leggings. You know what I'm saying? And they just shopping. But I'm doing my job, and old men are stopping me to say, hey, did you see that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm noticing this, and I'm seeing this. So that's why I wanted to have this conversation, because, like, I want to know, I guess one thing I'm trying to find out is, how do you approach somebody who has these kind of things? 'Cause I'm not going to know. And I've had a woman in my past that I knew that just didn't like me strictly because she had been raped by a black man. So she didn't like me. So, you know what I mean? I don't know. I don't put circumstance and do a whole thing because the whole shit is wrong either way. But like, Brandon, what kind of stuff, like, what can you say like about that? Like, just because you went to school with me. You know what I'm saying? So I know you saw it just like I did.
Oh, that's a straight fact. I've seen it, and also being in the military. I mean, I can speak more, not so much in high school, but when I was in the military, it was every day. Like, just matter of fact, just a few weeks ago, me and my girl and kids were on vacation, and I had just woken up. I was on Facebook, and one of my fellow veterans. We were in the same unit, because this is right after, like, when everything was starting to come to a head. Explains this entire story about what happened to her, and when I was reading the story, kind of like, wow, I didn't know this. But then when the clues started coming about, she started saying, oh, well, this, and this, and he did X, Y, and Z. And we're like, what? And then come to find out the man is gone, no longer with us. And she said she didn't do it. I mean, I got to be careful on this War and Peace. I don't want to curse, but
no, you curse. War and Peace.
Oh, okay, I'm just making sure.
Yeah, no.
But she said at the end, she's like, some of y'all know, he's passed away, but I don't give a fuck. I have to tell my story. Like,
right.
And the sad part is, like, I knew that person that had did this assault. It wasn't even really an assault. It was almost sexual harassment, but it wasn't really like assault. He didn't assault her, and it was really sad. And I was really, proud of her for doing that and telling that, because I didn't know. It happens in the military all the time, like all the time. It'll be like, for example, like, a new young, like, private comes to the unit. You got guys that are like wolves. They're like wolves. They're like, oh my God, look at her, look at her. And oh yeah, I'm gonna do it. Like, and I'm just like, really?
Yeah.
This is how y'all do? Like, I never did nothing like that. You know, I was like, I've seen it.
Well, that's why I'm asking, because if I'm seeing it as a man, I have no idea what level y'all as women are seeing it.
It's the same. The way that he's explained, I don't know anything about what goes on in the military, but that sounds like the way it is if you're not in the military. I mean, you just literally have men who are predators in that sense. You have women in the same sense. You know, understanding this is the type of behavior that for them is just accepted. They don't necessarily share their story because they've heard so much or have experienced it, or it's been so much of a common, you know, issue, which is what was all around the Me Too movement, you know, of so many women just being susceptible to it, and this is how it is. And they like to tailor it, you know, mainly to Hollywood or, you know, women with different political figures, but that's just how it is with certain men in certain circles, in certain dynamics, in certain social cultures and things like that. So that sounds actually pretty normal. It's a shame to say it's pretty normal,
Yeah.
but it's not something that's shocking. It's not.
Right. Okay, so Monique, I want to ask you, because you were in the military as well. So I want to ask you from your perspective, like what we're talking about right now. Like we're talking about, I'm just speaking on stuff I saw as a kid growing up in the military. You were there too, so I want to know from you, like what is I'm trying to think of how to say the question. What is something, not necessarily that you went through, but what are some of the feelings or what are some of the things that you think about, like just going off of what we're saying here?
Well, I think that when I was in the military, I was hit with a double whammy, and I didn't even know until I got there. And it was that I was a woman and that I was a Black woman. And I walked into a culture that had already labeled Black women before me as problematic or having attitudes.
Yeah.
So I didn't even know I entered that space. So there I was, just, you know, I guess just trying to do, I guess, the best job that I could do. But kind of the further along I got, or the more successful I became in my journey, that's when I guess I started to see some problems for me. So I was already dealing with just problems, just fighting just for being who I was. So I couldn't fathom, on top of it, had I been assaulted, being able to come out and say that this person did this to me, because I feel like I would have already had 2 strikes against me.
Yeah.
So I could definitely, I know that it does happen. I personally know women who have been assaulted in the military. I served as a year as a trainer for prevention and response. So I know that it does happen, and the numbers are shocking. But what's more shocking is, you know, how many people don't report it. That's I think what really is what got me when I was doing that training, is then how many people don't report it. And I think what's even more sad is that the military knows, they know, but I feel like the way reporting is, it makes it hard, because it's either 2 ways. You either report it all, or like you report it and everything's fair game. You can be questioned by whoever, they know there's no privacy, there's no nothing. Or you can do like a restricted report, which is okay, we'll report the person, we'll investigate the situation, but really there's nothing we can do if the person doesn't straight up confess, or, you know, there's enough evidence to get against them. So it's like either blow up your entire career or suffer in silence. So that's why I feel it's even, I don't want to say more unique, because you can't compare trauma. Like, it's all bad across the board. I can only speak though to my military experience, is that it's unique in the fact that you're balancing your career versus just having the voice to speak up. That's a really, really, really hard choice. And especially because at the military, we're held at, under a different set of rules.
Mhm.
So, I mean, as simple as not filing a piece of paperwork is what dereliction of duty. They can write it up, even though it's really a simple thing. They can write it up to the point where you could really find yourself spending, time somewhere, or really having your civilian life after jacked up by being discharged, for nonsense. So it's very, very difficult as a woman to report those sorts of things, especially in the military.
And just to piggyback off what you were saying, Monique.
Real quick, got the homie Jonathan coming in here. Just to let y'all know, the homie Jonathan about to step in here, man. He's another homie from high school as well. So just to let y'all know. But go ahead, brother. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
but just to piggyback off what she's saying, that's why when I was sitting there nodding, I agree with the numbers are staggering. I mean, I've sat through the PowerPoints, which people joke, oh, we have SARP training, blah, 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 blah. Like, I still, like I said, like you were saying, the numbers, it's staggering. And then it's like either I'm going to risk my career and get, almost retaliated because I'm telling on somebody, or if it's somebody in a higher rank structure or seniority, it's gonna be like, oh, so nobody's gonna believe you. I'm a E7 or I'm a O5 or a Sergeant Major. It's gonna be my word versus yours. Who are they gonna believe? Then that's kind of like, man, I don't want to mess up my career, or they just quiet. So a lot of them are unreported, and that's the truth.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. Well, my question is, my next question is, how do you approach somebody to be able to talk to them, to be able to tell somebody, if you're a friend of somebody who's been through this as a man, I don't know what to do. Because my first reaction is, what the fuck? And then I go into a thing, now I got to whoop somebody's ass, and I'm on one. But that's not going to help you. That's going to whoop his ass, but it ain't going to do nothing for you. Because I still got to come back and figure out with you. So my next question is, how do I do that? What's a way to kind of step in and be able to be that person, or be that man, to be like, I don't know what he was on. I don't know what he was doing. I'll take care of him, but I'm here for you.
I think one of the things to do as far as a man's approach on it, I don't know, you may meet the woman that wants you to go ahead and, beat him up real quick. That may make her feel better. But I think that the biggest thing when it comes to any type of abuse, assault, disrespect and stuff like that is mainly to make that person understand that you believe them.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's been the biggest thing, especially with women. When you've had issues with assault, if it is dealing with someone in some position of power, whether it's in the military or not, it could literally be just a woman who's, working under a boss who crosses the line just enough to not necessarily be doing something direct, but you're still uncomfortable.
Right.
And it's accepting their truth. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that's the first step to healing in any way, is letting that person know that you believe them. Yeah. Because what the stigmatization is that no one will believe you. Who will believe you? Or did it really happen that way? Or it's turned around again. What did you do to incite this behavior? What role did you play in someone else's choice to approach you in this manner, to speak to you in that manner? Like they always do the situation with some women. It's like, okay, well, you was the one that was wearing the skirt, 2 inches right above your butt line. What does that have to do with it? I want to look cute that night. What does that have to do with anything? That now entices some man to feel like he's got free reign to touch, to make insinuating marks, or that nothing. That's what I chose to wear. That's what I wanted to do. It had nothing to do with anyone else. And so, and it's not turning it back around on them.
Right.
Just to starting with, you're not wrong for feeling a certain way, to feel like you were disrespected, whether someone else agrees with it or not. That's how they feel.
Mhm.
It's accepting how they feel. That's always the first start to me.
Yeah. Okay. Because, okay, well, no. I want to hear from you too. Like, what do you think? Like, how is a way to talk to somebody like that or to have that conversation?
Honestly, I agree with everything that Shay said. I've never been put in a situation before, but I wouldn't know how to talk to somebody like that. I would just sympathize, be that ear for that person. But even then, since I'm the kind of person that I need to be put in a situation to actually have an opinion about it. So I've never been put in a situation like that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard for me to answer,
Okay.
to be honest with you.
Yeah. Ashley, saying anything?
Well, I mean, everybody knows that I'm a hothead, so you just have to remain calm, because sometimes people don't always want you to react. They just want somebody to listen to them. So most of me is, let me just chill, because I'm gonna get hot. So let me just relax and chill and listen to what you're really saying. Then I can be mad later on and like go off or whatever. But I think a lot of people, because I know somebody that was sexually assaulted and she tried to keep it a secret for a while, and I'm like, yeah, something ain't right. And you just gotta let that person come to you. You don't want to like pressure them because they've already been going through it and they gotta accept it themselves that something did happen. So you don't want to like pressure them, even though you may see signs of, oh, this may have happened. You just gotta let them come to you, but just let them know that they can come to you.
Yeah.
So that's what really what I did. And finally she came open. I mean, she came clean and was like, yeah, this is what happened. And I was like,
Right.
oh no.
Yeah, because like I haven't been the person with none of this shit, first of all, but I've definitely seen it. I was in a situation where it was kind of like, it was 100% my fault. I got caught up in a situation where I was doing some dumb shit, running in somebody's house. I ain't never really told this story. I got caught up being stupid. He was running in somebody's house to get some money from somebody. I don't even know whose money this was. We went in there and it started off regular, where it's at. Eventually it skipped past, keeping the story short. It goes past to, it's in the room, and dude says, I'm gonna show you. He says, no, she gonna show me. And he took that woman in the back room, and I don't know what happened, but I just heard all kind of craziness in there. And I'm stuck here with do I start whooping ass on everybody? But we are currently in the middle of a B&E. So what do? Do I get in the middle of this, like, what the fuck is this? And go through a thing where now I become part of this side, or do I get through this and get the hell on? Which is basically what I did. I got through it, I got on, I cut myself off from them dudes. I had a whole thing with them, cut myself off from them, got on, right? But that haunted me for years because I didn't do anything. And it was simply because I got caught up in a situation where it was like, my body wanted to do something, my mind wanted to make that move and be like, no, this ain't right. But if I make that move, they could kill me right here. So this is me. This is me going through my own it's a personal experience of mine. So I've seen that. But I've also been where a homie of mine, his daughter was like, not his daughter, his cousin or niece or somebody. They was in school and she got taken from some fucking where. And luckily they had to find her phone to where she was. And she was at her uncle's house, or like his brother's house somewhere. Like his brother went and picked this girl up and took off. And luckily he had that and found it. But that kind of stuff. So I'm seeing that on top of growing up in the military with this shit. Y'all know, listen, y'all know how I came up with my dad. My dad had taken me to the clubs since I was 15 years old. You know what I'm saying? I've been out here with all of that. So being a child, seeing the older men talking to the women like that. I thought that was okay for a long time because that's what everybody was doing. But nobody was saying, don't do that. Don't talk like, nobody was saying that. The only thing that made me pay attention was years later, I think I got into an argument with Ashley. And we got into it about something. And I was like, bitch, chill. And she was like, what did you just say? And I was like, oh my God, wait a minute. It's like, I'm talking.
Because I don't do that. What you're not going to do is call me out my name, not never. I can't do it. I can't do it. Look,
after that, I found myself, I caught myself in the house with my family, my sister, my mom, everybody else, I'm being this person. When I go outside, I'm doing this. So that mentally, it made me be like, okay, no, I need to either do this or I'm gonna do this. And you're gonna do one of them and you're gonna do that all the time. You know what I'm saying? Because I can't, it's gonna be hard to explain to my niece.
Mute, Ashley.
Oh, there
that
goes
ain't me.
Oh, that's your dog.
the dogs making all this noise. Yeah, but yeah, so me going through all of that like that, that's just kind of how that worked out for me.
But also, I think women need to be more aware. It's a lot of women that aren't aware. What was that case had everybody playing detective? Kanika.
Yeah.
Whatever one that one where the girl went to the hotel with the friends and then she went up missing.
And they couldn't.
That could never happen in my circle because me and Monique go to the club all the time. Well, not now because COVID, but we used to go to the club all the time. And there's never a time where, Monique say, I'm going to the bar. No, we going to the bar. Or if I say, I'm going to the bathroom, we go into the bathroom. If we drove separate, we go into somebody's car and we getting in together. You driving me to my car. Some women, I don't know what this culture is or who not teaching these girls that you got to be more aware. You just got to be more aware of the world that like we live in. Because even now, like I remember me and Monique went out and I came home and I was telling Mom about how this guy asked for my number. He kept blowing up my phone and she was like, well, why you didn't just give it to him? Like, why didn't you just tell him no? And I'm like, Mama, look it up. How many women are getting beaten and killed just because you saying, I don't want to give you my number? Literally a guy, he asked for her number and she was like, no. And then he followed her to her car, beat her, killed her, then put her in her own trunk and left her. And I'm like, yeah, I'll give you my number. I just block you later.
Right. Yeah, but see what I'm saying? I don't have to do that. I don't have to go to the club and like say, I'm going to the bar. Guess where I'm going? To the bar. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but when you go out with me and Monique, you're on alert. You're automatically on alert.
Yeah.
Like a bodyguard.
Yeah.
Right, but he's on alert for y'all. What he's saying is that he don't have to. Yeah, it's a whole different thing. As a woman, we always have to make sure we're in pairs. It's always some type of superiority between men and women. We're constantly in this thought process. So perfect example is when I happen to be walking along, which is quite common, being honest. I don't always have somebody with me. You know, I normally have, my key between these two fingers. And it sits like that, till I walk to my car, till I, get inside my car and unlock my doors.
Right.
Even so much as, if you notice on the cars now, they have the automatic lock when you shift the car into park.
Yeah.
Or put it into drive. If you put it into park, the doors automatically unlock. So I had to ask the dealership, how do I take that off of my car? Because what seems like this nice, wonderful feature where you don't have to have, you don't have to unlock your car, you just put it in park. Yeah. For a woman, that can be very dangerous. So every time I go to the ATM machine and I park my car because I'm looking for my card or whatever it is, or I didn't park right and I got to reach out crazily, I put my car in park. Well, my doors are automatically unlocked. If anybody's watching and they know that, that's what's happening.
Mhm.
And it's any time. If I want to go pick up somebody and I'm waiting for them to come outside, my car naturally goes into an unlock mode the moment that I park it. And if you get into these different situations or these remedial practices as a woman where you're not aware, then you're sitting somewhere outside waiting on somebody to come out, which can be in a perfectly good, scenario, so to speak, that can turn bad because all of your doors are unlocked.
Yeah.
And it's just little things like that, as a man, you may never think about that. Anybody coming up in your car to bother you, you would do. At least not without some type of strap on you. Like, they have to really be wanting to do something and be very much aware that you probably might have something on you too. But as a woman, they're not looking for me to have a knife in my car. They're not looking for it. They're gonna find it, but they're not looking for that. They're waiting for something to be preyed upon. They're waiting for a moment for me to slip up. And I don't have the luxury of thinking that today is just gonna be a regular day I can make it home safely. So it's
Not
always
even
these little
going-
things that we're thinking about, to ensure safety, to be aware. But I was actually not a person who was happy about my car door automatically unlocking when I put it in drive. I mean, in park.
Yeah.
I took it off.
I thought about that too, but I thought about that because I was thinking like a thief. I know that I know you pull up to the car, get to the ATM, you gonna put it in park, and you gonna
Your door's unlocked.
I'm gonna unlock. I'm gonna jump right in your passenger side. Yeah, run all that. I know that's the only reason I know. Literally, that's what I know. So
That's okay. We on the same brink, cuz while I took mine off.
yeah. So yeah, I'm with you on that. So
It's even something as simple as like going to the gas station, or me, y'all know I make cakes. So like when I have to deliver cakes,
Yeah.
I
You're
have
bending
somebody
over
on the
into
phone.
your car and
I
getting
have
stuff
somebody
out.
on the phone FaceTiming me like, hey, I don't know who I'm dropping off to. This is my address. Watch me as this person is taking this cake from me. Or even mom, she does CPR at people's houses. Sometimes she texts me the address and the name of the person where she going all the time because I'm pulling up. If you don't answer me,
yeah,
I'm pulling up.
right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna know everybody's last place, all the details. Now somebody gonna have to answer for this.
Right. So, okay. So now my next question is, what do we do about the women that are using this as like a thing to get ahead? Like we just saw Chris Brown. That girl said, what did she say? And we found out that was a lie. And nobody did nothing to her. She just had hot, from what I remember.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I just found out the other day, old girl, Amy Cooper,
Who?
facing 3 years.
Who?
Amy Cooper. That lady who called the police on that bird watcher,
Yeah.
she might be facing 3 years.
And she should be.
Yeah.
Should be.
I see
Should
that.
be.
My next question is, what do you do with that?
They need to be
I mean,
smacked in the face.
I don't. Unfortunately, we can't do that, Ashley. But I think that there's no way to avoid that. You're always going to have people who want to
Use the system.
use the system, exploit someone else because they're in a position. That person's in a position to pay. That person's in a position to. It's no different than any other hustle. It's no different than the millions of girls at the bottom. That's at the very bottom floor of the hotel, waiting on which NBA player gonna take them next, punching holes in condoms and doing all extra necessary stuff because you're trying to catch a paycheck. That there's no way to avoid that. Because when you want, where there's a will, there's a way. If you want to will it, you can find a way to get it done. There's no way to necessarily stop that because people will be who people are. It just really isn't.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mo. I seen you on mute.
You unmuted. Yeah, you ready to say it?
No. What I was gonna say is, I think one of the problems that we face when we get to situations like that, especially high profile cases, is that we get too caught up on what the person looks like, what the person's occupation is, and
Yeah.
we make inferences about the person instead of just listening to the facts. But that's not what happens. When you see such and such accuses Chris Brown of blah, 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 they look at what she looks like. They assess what she's wearing. Oh, she looks like the type that would say that. Or, oh, well, let's look at her Instagram. Like, people make inferences about if it's true or not based off of what people look like. But I think we need to listen to the facts. When old girl said whatever happened with her and Usher, Usher, gave her venereal disease. What did people say? Not possible because she's fat and she was ugly. That's what people said.
Yeah.
And that really rubbed me the wrong way, because I'm like, people like what they like. Just because you look at this person and you're not attracted to them, it doesn't automatically mean that didn't happen with that person.
Exactly.
So we cannot give credit and discredit others based off of how they look. And I feel like Shay is saying, no, we can't avoid that. There's always going to be the scammer. You know what I mean? I just feel like that's the way, no matter what sector of life that you're in, I feel like there's always going to be the scammer, the person that's trying to come up the wrong way. But
Exactly.
I do think that as a society, we have got to stop idol worshiping and just look. And when we hear these things, let's just listen to the facts.
Yeah.
Like the fact that Judge Kavanaugh got through.
Girl, say that.
I'm like, did we listen? Are we all listening?
Girl, we
the
missed
same
it. We
thing?
missed the mark.
Woo!
Missed it.
Because people were looking at these photos of him, this all-American, like they were making inferences on his innocence based off of how he looked and based off of his economic situation.
Yeah.
No, we need to listen to the facts. And I think that's one of the problems, when it comes to stuff like that.
Well, that comes.
Well, that's the same thing that we get when it comes to that. That has to be well-rounded across the board. It's the same thing that happens when we have Black men that are killed unarmed. Well, what we have the media put out is that 15 years ago, they decided to steal a can of beer or a pack of cigarettes as if that has anything to do with what they've been doing the last 15 years.
That's Trayvon Martin. They was like, oh, well, did you know that he was suspended because he had marijuana? Zimmerman didn't know that shit when he shot him.
And this is another argument when it comes to that as well with because you brought it up, Ashley. I'm gonna speak on it real quick. When it came to Trayvon Martin, I had a conversation with the man, happened to be Caucasian, and he made the inference of what the media was saying, that he was someone who wasn't listening to authority. He wasn't someone who was following the directions of an adult. And I asked that man, because I'm a mother. I had, and Monique is a mom, Ashley's a mom. If I tell my 15-year-old son to go to the store, buy what I tell you to buy and bring your butt back home, the authority that he's listening to is me.
Right.
So when you say things on the media and you portray him as someone who didn't listen to authority, whose authority are you talking about?
Right.
Especially
Because a
somebody that
15-year-old
they don't
boy's
know.
authority is what I told him.
Mm-hmm.
It is not of some man that wants to know where you going, what you doing. This was a unarmed, he was off duty. Off duty. You have no reason stopping this boy.
Yeah.
And it comes little conversations like that when you want, like Monique said, we're looking at the person. So he had a hoodie on. You know what I'm saying? He got suspended before. What does that have to do with right now? That boy's mama told him to go to the store and bring your butt back here.
Mm-hmm. That's
exactly what was supposed to happen.
That was the same thing that happened with George Floyd, with
Yes.
Candace Owens' stupid ass up there talking about did something to a pregnant lady so many years ago. And we was like, why are you even talking about that? What that got to do with not last week?
Yeah.
What that got to do with that? What are you talking about? But I think what she was trying to do was trying to speak on like how when Black people, we know hood niggas when we see it. We know what time it is.
Yeah.
So we know when we see somebody die, free the homie, do such and such, so-and-so got killed. You know what I'm saying? It's a whole different bag. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then I saw that she was trying to use that. And I was like, you're trying to use that as an excuse for what?
Because they're trying to, what's it called? Defame? What's it called?
But
What's
there's
the
nothing
word?
to defame him for because he dead. What we talking about is the death. We're not talking
But
about.
if they can get people to question your character, then they're gonna be like, oh well, maybe if you go on any of these sites and you go in the comments, it's plethora of people like, oh, it's one less nigga, or it's one less hood rat, or it's one less rapist. They're trying to defame the person's name so that somebody somewhere
and that is
like,
true. But
oh, well, one less.
the place to do that is in a courtroom, which is exactly what happens in a courtroom. The problem is we got black men not even making it off the street, let alone to a courtroom.
Yeah.
And that's what that. But Ashley's right. That's what they're doing. They're trying to take away from their character as if the unarmed death is now justified by something that happened prior to what was happening in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people, like just America now in the culture, they're like, oh, I feel sorry for black mothers because you have to have the talk with your black sons. But at the same time, going back to the woman's issue, I got a black daughter. And I got to give her a whole nother kind of talk on top of that talk. Yeah. Because cops is killing black women,
girls too. Yes.
So in addition to the cop talk, I got to talk to her about being a woman. Oh, you can't be alone. Carry the key like this if you're alone. Let me buy you pepper spray and all this because my kid is going to be shapely. Even if she wasn't shapely, she's shapely. And I just know from my own experiences as a woman and as a kid growing up, they coming for her. And I already knew that in my head, but Anaya's about to be 11. And when we were living in Jersey, a little boy had in his mind, I don't know where he had to learn it from home, that he kept telling Anaya, you're my girl and you're going to do what I say. And she came home and told me, I'm like, nah, just tell the bus driver or something. Like, just don't sit next to him no more. But then it escalated to him touching her. And then that's when I was like, hey, no. So I gave the school a call, gave the bus people, and they were like, oh yeah, we just won't let them sit. We'll have a talk with the boy and the mom and the parents or whatever, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, cool. Because we were living on a military base. So military, they like paperwork. You got to have a paper trail. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to follow this paper trail, but I'm only going to give y'all so many chances before I show my ass. So I'm going to let y'all do this. And then it like died down for a little. Then it came back and he touched her butt. And I was like, I'm about to like explode. And then it happened again. And then at that point, I was like, no, I'm waiting at the school for these parents because now they're going to listen to me. And they were like, well, what do you want us to do? And I was like, what you mean? And they were like, well, the options are filing sexual assault charges on a third grader. And I was like, if that's what I got to do to get somebody's attention and for my kid to know that, oh, mama always got my back, give me that paperwork. So there's a little boy walking around Jersey.
Yeah, but the sad thing is that you had to go through that much for a little boy. And I had a similar situation with Akila, with a cousin of hers, who she didn't want to play with. And it's the whole thought process of, oh, well, y'all cousins, y'all just play. And what people don't realize is that they don't have to do that. We have put children in a lot of positions around adults, around other kids, that they are not comfortable with this nonchalant attitude. Y'all just go on in that room and y'all just play. Oh, that's just your cousin. It's not that big of a deal. Y'all should just go ahead and just, it's okay if they want to play with you. Just go play with them. And we're not taking into account that person's feelings, that person's uncomfortability, what is that person subjected to at the time that we're forcing them to play with someone, to go over somebody's house, to interact with someone that they're uncomfortable. We're not looking at the other end. Mm-hmm. We're not. We're looking at it one-sided. And I had to have that conversation. I said, well, I'm going to say it like this. If she don't want to play with him, she don't have to. Akita's an introvert. She is very, very happy being solo.
Yeah.
I mean, she not miserable and depressed because she by herself. It's a choice. This has been the best pandemic for her in the world because she don't even care about being stuck in the house.
She like me.
She here anyway. You know what I mean? Like, that's how she is. So if she's uncomfortable around somebody, as a woman, my first thing is, okay, well, my answer is always no. If she doesn't want to do it, I mean, like, strongly. I ain't talking about the annoyed and, you know, you getting into that extra. I mean, that, mommy, I don't really want to play with them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, well, no, you ain't got to play with them. Because I need her to know it's okay for her to be uncomfortable. That I believe she's uncomfortable and that she doesn't have to do it. And a lot of little girls and little boys are not told that. We do not have parents paying attention.
Well, I will say on that,
Yeah.
I for sure wasn't told that.
You probably weren't.
I wasn't told a whole lot of stuff. I was just took to the club. I swear to you, it wasn't a whole thing behind it. It was all the girls getting ready to go to bed. Hey, you trying to ride? And you know I'm getting in the car. You know what I'm saying? You know I'm getting in the car. But my experience being out there was just like how I was saying earlier. I wasn't thinking I'm the black man and all that. 'Cause I was in Japan. And in Japan, I'm the shit over there. You know what I'm saying? So I'm cool. But when I came back stateside, I had to readjust, first of all, to what was happening in America. I had just happened to adjust to the wrong shit ever. But coming, because I was doing like drugs. I was stupid. So like when I got out of all of that, and I sat there and paid attention to what was around me for real, when I tell you I'm at the club and I see dudes talking to other women, I'm like, you said that? You really thought that was it? Or I'm looking at dudes like their approach is, when you walk by them, they grab your arm, hey, baby, come here. What is that? What is this just grabbing arms when she walk? Do you know her? Nah, so you just hands on people? What you doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm paying attention to all this stuff that before when I was doing it, it didn't matter. But now I'm sitting here now I'm looking at other people doing it. So now in my mind, my goal is to, if I see somebody doing it, is to be like, say, man, come here. I need to take you to the side and have this conversation because I can't let you go outside and continue doing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I can't allow that. So that's my thought on it. But
and it should be. It should be. But the thing is that I want you to check this out too. While the girls were being sent to bed, you were allowed to go out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's even being put into a double standard.
Yeah.
Because we're not doing the same thing with girls that we're doing to boys, yet we're expecting boys to treat our girls in a certain manner, and we're not holding that stature up to ourselves.
And then it's a double standard.
And it is a double standard, but it's an expectation. It's an expectation. And then you come back later and you wonder why girls feel like ain't no good men and all this extra stuff. And there are good ones. I'm not saying they're ever saying that. That's the perception because they've been taught different. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That they're not as good as us. So you can go play with them, but you can't come play with us. You know, or you don't hold that same thing. You don't take girls to the club. I think daddy should. Take your daughter to the club with you. Help her spot out some things in men and mannerisms that she needs to be aware of. But we're not doing that. We're taking our boys with us. And we're having those conversations with them. You know, that
us as parents raising boys, it's also our job to raise our boys and be like, hey, this is what you're not gonna do because look at your sister. Because Carter, you got an older sister. So you want somebody
that's very true. I tell both of them
like this, I will beat Carter's ass. if I ever catch wind, I will beat it and it's gonna be known.
But that needs to happen. I have 2 older boys, and I tell them, I said, don't you do nothing with a little girl you don't want no boy doing to your sister. And it messes with their head. They like, Mama, really? Because now they're thinking, but I need you to think. I need you to think. Yeah. If it's acceptable, whatever you do to somebody else's sister, you better damn sure make sure it's acceptable for somebody to do to yours. And if it's not, then you need not do it. Mm-hmm. because that is somebody else's sister, that's somebody else's cousin, that's somebody else's daughter.
Yeah.
It's not living that double standard. So if you want someone to respect your sister, you need to be respecting girls out here.
Right.
Period. That's how that is. Be very, 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 very careful. I had this one guy, him and his wife got into an argument, and all of us were around, and they were basically fighting. He open hand slapped her in front of everybody, and it was one of them moments where you do everything you can to stay in your seat, because it's not your place to butt in, but it's in front of you. It's in front of you. It's very much apparent what is going on. And he just was yelling at her and everything else, and I got really upset with it. And then he gets to cussing at everybody else is around, and I would love to blame it on drugs, but he was sober in this state. And I just told him, I said, you just make sure the first time somebody slapped your daughter around that you tell her to take it like you're telling your wife. That pissed him off even more, but I meant what I said. Yeah. Because this is the attitude that you're showing her. This is what you're telling her is what happens when a man is with her, is supposed to love her, is supposed to cater to her, because your wife is somebody's daughter. And you are showing your daughter and your son exactly how they're supposed to be treated or treat people.
And you like to think that, oh, well, they're going to grow up and see that that's how they don't want to treat somebody.
No, they going to do it. That's what happens. The cycle repeats itself.
We're the products of our environment at the end of the day.
Yes.
How we grew up, we're the products of our environment.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say.
Some people make it out, but,
No.
I mean,
some people don't got enough support or will to be like, hey, that's not what I want for myself, even though that's what I grew up in. It's a bunch of people in the hood sitting there because they think that that's all there is.
I mean, a perfect example, and I don't know if you guys have ever seen Purple Rain. That is a perfect example of what we're talking about here. I know it's fictional. It's loosely based on a true story, but if you've seen it, I don't know if anybody's ever seen the movie. I don't know if y'all have all seen it or whatnot.
We Prince fans, we didn't seen it.
I'm just making sure, because there's some people who ain't seen it now.
We Prince fans, we didn't seen it.
So when the kid goes home and he sees his dad slapping his mom around, he gets pissed off and he gets angry, and he's, why is he doing that? But then later on in the movie, when Apollonia 6 or Apollonia or whatever gives him the guitar and, this, and I'm going to go work with, I'm going to go work with, I forgot his name.
We know who you're talking about. It's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. And he's like, he gets mad, and he's like, he literally he did like a slap and then did like a twirl. And I mean, that's not funny, but you know what they're about? You know what he's about? And he's like, he's basically repeating what he saw and doing that when he hit her. And it's like, damn, dude, why would you get mad that your mom's getting beat, but then you go and repeat it? But that's what he saw, and he thought that was okay, which we all know it wasn't okay.
That's like, I made a vow to myself when I got pregnant with Anaya. I was young, so already I'm Black, young, so I'm a statistic because I'm pregnant and Black and young. But I was like, you know what I'm not gonna do is make sure that Anaya is not a statistic. So she's gonna be the smartest kid in the classroom. She's gonna be able to do this and do that. So I made it. But there's a lot of young parents that don't have the knowledge, or I don't even know what to call it, to be like, look, I'm gonna raise my kid to be better.
I would say wisdom.
In this environment, but to be better. So I don't play that. I take my parenting very serious, and my village that I surround my kids by, I take that very serious, because they will be learning. They're learning from the uncle, or the cousin, or the sister, or they learning from that. So I don't give a shit who you are. If you don't got the right morals, you can be cut off from me and my kids, and I do not play that, not in the slightest bit.
Yeah.
But most people don't see anything wrong with it. But this is where that issue comes from, when you derive from a mindset.
Yeah.
It's more of this is how it is. This is how I
But
was,
it's
how your
that's why
grandma
it needs
was,
to
how your
be
great grandma
more.
was. There's no will, there's no drive, there's no desire to have different.
It needs to be more programs for young women to be like, hey, like Big Brother, Big Sister. It needs to be some real ones, not just a corporation behind that. It needs to be some real programs that's like, hey, I may have been through it because I've been through some things in life that people may not know, and I could be a testimony to somebody else, or I can help you through that. But so many people are just, that's not my life, that's not my problem. But in all actuality, you just let people with these crazy ass mindsets go out into the world, then that's where you come with these fucking killings and shootings, because they all had that crazy ass mindset the whole time. But if there was somebody who would have stepped in from a young, earlier in life and been like, hey, that's not the way that's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Let me help you. Then it could have changed or altered that person's life, and then it could have been something different.
Yeah.
There's so many people that's just like, that ain't got shit to do with me. Let me just stay over here.
But yeah, and they're not dealing with it themselves.
I had a job that was like that where, and it aggravated me at first because it was like all the black kids and Mexican kids, all the boys, they would send them to me when they was acting crazy. And I was working at the Boys and Girls Club. And I'll never forget it was a young black dude. I forgot his name, but he was off the chain. His dad was like at the house, showed this boy, he knew about the pornos, he knew about everything. He was coming to the Boys and Girls Club, calling the little girls hoes and bitches and all kind of shit. And when I started working there, I guess he had started a thing where he would just start cussing out the women in there too, because he didn't care about them neither. So when I got there, I just happened to walk in the room and he was like, man, fuck that, talking this shit. I must have grabbed that boy by the side of his whole neck and face. Like I couldn't think. I just grabbed him and I took him outside and I was like, now say that to me. And he got quiet. And I was like, no. Now we doing this. Say that to me. I want you to look me in my face and say that. And I want you to be ready for the consequence. I want you to be all the way prepared for what's coming. And I did that to him, and then I did it to him a second time in front of everybody on the bus because we was on a field trip. So I pulled the bus over on his ass because he was hollering at somebody in the back. And I grabbed him by the back of his shirt, threw him off the bus and said, now it's me and you, and we in the streets like you love. So what's happening? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's my kind of approach. You know what I mean? I have a whole different way of dealing with kids. I did it to my nephew. I did it to Monique's little boy. I did it to all these kids. Because everybody know Chris ain't playing that shit. I know my friends that.
But that's what some people need. They need to see that. Don't take them in the back in the corner and correct them all the time. Sometimes you need to correct them so the audience sees, hey, well, that ain't it.
That's usually with them, it's in front of everybody. It's in front of all their friends, all them kids in there. The kids gonna remember this. They gonna talk about you when I leave. Oh, they gonna have all the jokes about you when I leave. But what they not gonna do is say it while I'm standing here. Because I remember growing up getting my ass whooped and then dad leave the room and I'd be like, I wish you come back. You know what I'm saying? Hollering, talking shit to myself, but you ain't gonna do nothing. You know what I'm saying? That's kids. You know what I'm saying? Kids. Just talking shit.
You ain't alone in that. I done went upstairs in my mama's room, in my room after my mom did something to me, closed my door. This is what I did. Wait. I closed my door. Turned my TV and my radio on. Went in my closet. Closed that door. And then I let her have it.
Yeah. See? I used to wait till my mom left the whole house and be like, I wish you would come back in here. One more time, hit me again. I dare you. That's crazy.
Hey, screaming in pillows and shit.
Yeah. I almost had my pillow on my mouth.
Just clap. You're not gonna do it.
Hey, since Boys in the Hood 27 came out 27 years ago yesterday, when he did that shit when he in the house, he was doing a little air shit.
Yeah. It was you after the ass whooping.
Yeah, that's after the ass whooping.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's what. Yeah. So this was a hell of a conversation. This is exactly what I need, right? Because I needed And I want to hear something from Monique too. I want to know where you at in this, because you've been absolutely quiet on the mute.
I mean, we've
She
been
been-
talking about a lot of different things, which is why it's such a loaded topic. I mean, that you could really break down. We're talking about education. So the education system and what it does for little Black girls, little Black boys is its own, topic. We're talking about drink culture, bar culture, party culture. It's a complete different topic, because you're talking about both parties under the influence. And so that's a completely separate, situation. Then we're talking about our young kids, our little girls and our little boys. And I think Shannon brought up a great point, family. And just because they family don't mean you need to be just sending them, in the back room. So I think, we just been talking about a lot of different things and a lot of different, we're also talking about scenarios where if somebody opens up and, lets you know that they've been assaulted, where are we talking about somebody telling you about something that happened like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, how do you handle it? Or did somebody go straight from the incident to your house and, oh shit, this is the first place I thought to come. This is what happened to me. What do you do? So, you know what I'm saying? We were talking about so many different things, which is why I've just been sitting here listening. And I think that this is maybe something worth continuing to do, and maybe honing in on maybe specific topics. Because like I said, there's so much to be said just about each specific scenario.
More than one part. This is going to be like a bunch of different parts at one time. We just opened up a lot talking, just having conversation, and opened up into a whole bag of what's going to be talked about on this whole thing. But so here's my question to you, Monique. Having a child, having a son, what are some things that you, as a mother, try to instill in him so when he grows up to see certain stuff? Like for me, right? I don't have no kids, but I got like my youngest sister. I got, and I was talking to my cousin, and I was like, my baby sister don't know nothing about niggas over there. She don't know what that is. You know what I'm saying? If I tell her we going to the east side and this blah, 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 she don't know what that is. But if I come to you and say, we going to the east, going down, let's go. You know what time it is. You know where we going, what we doing. So my question to you is, what kind of things can you instill in your son? So I want to talk about young Black boys first and then kind of go back. But what kind of things can you instill in a young man so he grows up as a woman? And for you, what do you tell him to make sure that he kind of stays here? Because we already know what he's gonna see.
Yeah, I don't have like a specific list, but the way I've tailored my parenting is to making our relationship so that he is not afraid to ask me about something. So like my son he's in a very curious stage, very curious. He likes to go in drawers. He likes to open things. So instead of treating him like how I grew up, which was don't touch that, and I'm not going to tell you again, were you in that, and then get your ass beat, like I was always scared. Like my mom ruled out of fear, and that's just the way me and my cousins, we grew up. Like if you did it, you got your ass beat, like, or you got yelled at. But I found myself, I was a very sneaky child, and I was sneaking dumb stuff, but just because I just didn't want to get yelled at or I was scared. So what I try to do with my son is I try to make him comfortable I'm trying to make him comfortable to ask me anything. So I say, if you ever find anything, if you read anything, if you hear anything, if you overhear someone else say something or refer to him, or you hear somebody else say something, come to me and ask me what it means. And because I've opened that, I know that I've opened myself up to hear some crazy things. And I'm not gonna lie, the past like year and a half that we've been trying this, I've heard a lot. But I'm so thankful because I'm glad he told me, Mom, I saw such and such in the slide at school, and I think they were playing doctor. And I was like, okay. Because my first reaction as a parent is, who, what? Like, let me get on the phone. Who not watching these kids on the playground? They, but just taking a step back. Okay, what were they doing? Okay, and then what did he do? And then I just listened to the story, and then I give him my take. And I also ask him, do you think that it was okay for him to lift up her shirt do you think that that was the right thing for him to do? And he'll think about it himself and say, no. And then I'll say, okay, well, why don't you think so? And he says, well, I don't think so because I think that we're only supposed to see that when we're in the shower. Okay, then. So instead of me like telling my son, like, you will think this way and you have to be this way, I know there are certain things that I really want to instill in him. But what I realize is that the way my mom ruled me, it just made me want to do other things. And I did for a period of time. So what I'm trying to do is break that cycle. I'm trying to rule out of respect. I want him to respect me and say, I don't want him to be like, my mom always says no. She always dismisses me. She don't talk to me about nothing. I can't come to her. If I come to her, I don't want him to have that mentality. I want him to know that my mom's got me. Anything I've ever asked her, she's been real with me. We talk about it. She's open. She told me. That's the mentality. So that when the big stuff happens, that's when I want him to be like, Ma, let me tell. When he's 16, it's that. See, I want that 15, 16, 17, 18. Like that's where that's the stuff.
You'll get it.
Yeah.
You'll get it.
You gotta groom them to that.
But I'm trying to.
Yeah.
But
you've seen me interact with Raheem though.
Absolutely.
You've seen us.
Absolutely. And I
Raheem,
love that. And I love
Raheem
that.
tells me everything. And it is a moment where you be like, God, I wish I hadn't asked. But he does. They are in the position, and that's a great way to be, because you want to be able to see in what manner they're gonna take things. When even with your situation came with the shirt up, I always ask the other question, well, how did the other person feel? Did you see their reaction? Not the one who did it, the one it was done to. And how did you perceive that? You know what I mean? And be careful not to make sure you don't make somebody feel like that.
And you know what's crazy? What I'm actually dealing with is I'm dealing with the girls, the little ones talking about.
Yeah.
That's the phase.
Right.
My son came home with a piece of paper. I said, what is this? And it had like 4 numbers on it, but they were like separate. I said, what is this? Oh, what's that little girl's name?
It's a code.
Madison. No, he said that's her number. I said, her number? She said, yeah. She gave this to me and said to call her sometime. I said, you don't have a phone. How are you gonna call? Well, I was thinking that I could use your cell phone. Oh,
yeah.
Really? Okay, let's talk about it. So that's really what I'm dealing with right now with the little girls. But you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right to be mindful of all parties and you know how they felt in that situation.
But I think that's good. Keep doing that. Allow I work on transparency with my children. Mm-hmm. I started with my oldest. Now he does not tell me as much as Raheem, because Raheem just feels the need to share everything. But he's a lot more cautious in his decisions. So one thing I told all of them is when they got to double digits, I told them, okay, now you have to start thinking. I'm gonna need you to be smart about the dumb decisions you're about to make. Mm-hmm. Oh, real talk. Because I'm gonna need you to be smart about the dumb decisions that you're about to make. Because you don't see them now, they're gonna be dumb. Mm-hmm. I need you to at least have thought through them. Yeah. Because that's just how that's worked. But I've had to have the sex conversation was very embarrassing for David. I got over it real quick because I had something to say. So I told David, I said, you know what, you at that point, I would love for you to be pure, but let's be real, you probably not. So we have a few things that we need to discuss. You know, when you have the conversation when it comes to, are you wearing condoms? Yes, you will always wear them and you will bring them home. You put them in your pocket. I don't wash your clothes anyway, so I really don't care. And when they hit double digits, I start washing clothes too for them. Mm-hmm. So, you don't leave them in trash cans. You don't flush them down the toilet. I don't want them plunged up. Everything comes home with you. You bring your own. Girl, you be. Ooh, the plunged up. So not
the plunged up. Put it in. Hold on now.
Hey, I don't trust man, not of nothing. So I was very, very, very transparent on all of this so that there was no misunderstanding as to what can happen. And so it's just little things like that. Before he even got to the whole sex talk, I told him, little things like, I prefer you not have sex. I prefer you only to get head. He was like, "Ma," I was like, "Hey, I'm being very real. Can't nobody get pregnant off of that."
I
You
got
a bust a butter.
a
Hey.
question right now because I don't know what the hell y'all talking about. Ain't nobody say this to me. Shit.
Look, listen. I had an athlete, okay, an athlete, and I got a good looking athlete, and I understand how these things work. Now I'm not into this, the whole thing with you know, don't do this and don't have sex and that's wrong. You already know where we are in our Christianity and everything else. However, I know the age and the world that you're living in. I know the pressures you may have. I just need you to be smart about your dumb decisions. Literally think the process through. Yeah. So I had all of these conversations with them. I had the same situations with my daughter. Lakila is 14 now. I don't have the luxury, in my opinion, to skirt around these conversations when I don't know what you're getting for your friends. So let me be a friend and a mama and tell you straight up how this works, how this goes on, what you need to consider. I will not be making the decision for you.
Right.
But you need to be aware of what comes around. I'm very transparent with them. It is probably extremely embarrassing for them. As a parent, I've gotten over that.
Yeah.
But it's had to be talked about. I got real basic information. My mom made the sex talk extremely scientific. So I got like an old school encyclopedia book with the pictures and everything with the different parts of the body.
Yeah.
I got that talk. So it's transparency in another way. But it didn't deal with the things of there's nothing wrong with you having a desire. There's nothing wrong with you being attracted. You're supposed to be attracted to somebody. You're supposed to have all these crazy hormones going on. That's what's supposed to happen. You also have the ability to control them, and to watch how you handle and the people you hang around influence that.
Yeah, right. That's the reason I'm asking you that is because when I did mine for the first time, they told me I was a lie. I said, no, for real. I'm telling you. This girl, yes. No. So I just, okay, well, you don't believe me. So I'm going to just keep doing it since don't nobody believe me. Now we're running.
Okay. Well, I don't know because I got a whole nother.
You're not going to believe me. That was my mind. You know what I'm saying? As a child. You know what I'm saying? And I wasn't no athlete, but I wasn't looking like I couldn't get in there and do something. But I'm just saying, I had to talk. When I had to talk, I was a child. It was this one in school when you was like 5th grade and they sit you down and make you watch this stupid ass video and give you a little and then they send you on your way.
Yeah.
2 years down the line.
Well, hold on. So I got you one better. So let me tell you what got me into my conversation. So when David was in 5th grade, there's another little girl in class with him, and I was kind of cool with her mom. But they separated. They put the boys in one room and watched one video, girls watched another video. And they told the girls, because they put scenarios in there with situations of lesbians or gays and things like that. And they told these girls in this room that if for whatever reason they felt some type of way in a sexual attraction or something to what was happening on the screen, that they were lesbian. I said, wait a minute, wait, what? So I asked David flat out, what video did you watch? Because I had to know what this was, but they were basically telling kids in the 4th and 5th grade that if they were attracted to something that happened to be lesbian or gay influenced or whatever, that they were now lesbian or gay. I said, no, you're attracted sexually to things that are sexual. Period. It doesn't matter. That's what it is. But that's what they were telling these kids. So I had to learn, especially with my first one, to be like, you know what? You don't have this conversation. All of the uncomfortable conversations. The first time David wanted to smoke a cigarette, I said, okay, I'm gonna go get you a 40-pack Newport. It was what else? It's like 100. No, it's 40 packs at the carton at Walmart. You gonna smoke until you can't breathe.
See, hell no, that ain't what happened to me. See, hell no. We just went across the street with $3, got a couple packs of the Marlboro Greens, and was sitting out here putting it down. I'm talking about I used to tell my mom I'm going to the corner right quick, and I'll just be on the corner with Coco, the little dog, out there on the corner smoking cigarettes. And then the whole
Nah,
and
I was gonna go get David them Marlboro Reds.
To this.
He was gonna get them Reds, Chris. But let me tell you what scared him.
My boy Killers.
Let me tell you what scared him when I told him I was gonna do that, because he thought I was crazy. What was crazy was my mama was down here and she agreed with me. So when my mama said we're gonna have you, David was like, "Oh, I'm good. I don't think that boy smoked since."
because we was out there. I'm talking about I didn't have my mom. When my mom found out I was smoking, she found out like a couple years ago when I went to the doctor and they was like, "You smoke?" I said, "Yeah." They said, "For how long?" And I looked at her and said, "Ma'am, hey, 30." And she didn't know what to do. She reacted so fast. She hit me first, and then was like, "Oh my God, you wrong." She hit me. It was like, and I was like, I was 13 when I was smoking cigarettes. I was 13 when I was having sex. I was 13 when a lot of shit started for me.
Wow.
I told y'all, and you
Look at Ashley.
You
Ashley.
Wow.
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 That's what we doing. We outside. And you're going to keep telling me I'm a lie, so you're not going to tell me to stop. You're not going to tell me to, you know what I'm saying? I'm learning to wear condoms from watching TV and talking to my cousin and stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'm out here clowning. You know what I'm saying? I was 18 with a 23-year-old girlfriend. Like, I was clowning.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, wow.
There's no in between with the, you know what I mean? I was out here. So when I'm hearing y'all say this, to me, this sound like Chinese.
Well, I think that I'm very much, well, y'all know I'm just a wild one. So my kids already know, like, Mama crazy. But I know I can tell her anything and everything because she crazy. And I guess it's just, I get it from Mom because me and her, like, people still to this day don't believe, like, you know, before Corona and all that stuff, they be like, "Oh, what's she doing this weekend?" Going out with my mom, my sister. Maybe like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to throw this ass with my mama and my sister. And they be like, and I'm like, yeah, that's our relationship though. As a kid, I wasn't as wild, but as an adult, she opened the door for that as an adult